What's going on, guys? So today is a big one, all right? And I'm going to delve into another topic in this same video that I think is still very, very relevant, and it's going to hurt a lot of newer collectors. But let's talk about Wall Street Journal, okay? Wall Street Journal has just dropped an article showing that Pokemon has returns as an investment that outpaces the market, right? I have family that really hasn't been interested in Pokemon. I have friends that haven't been interested in Pokemon. Everyone's sending me this article. You know what's funny about the article? It doesn't have a modern booster box on it. It has a vintage first edition Shining Tyranitar on it. I don't know, guys. I'm like, yeah, let's get hype. Let's get hype. But the hobby's already cooked. The hobby's even more cooked now. And I told you guys, I've been telling you for freaking ever now to buy vintage cards. I've been telling you guys forever to buy vintage cards. I made a little collection video recently. We went through a lot of my cards. Everyone knows that watches my little channel that I have been the advocate for vintage cards. Not the guy talking about sealed product. I've been the advocate for vintage cards since the beginning, all right? In the thumbnail, I show cards like the first edition Charizard, some of my favorites, the Gold Star Rayquaza. I didn't show this one, but we got this guy recently, the Skyridge Gengar, PSA 10. Of course, the Ultimate Shining, the first edition Shining Charizard. And of course, the most hype of them all, the Crystal Charizard in a PSA 10. Guys, I've been talking about these cards for forever, it feels like. Everyone's been telling me vintage is boring, vintage is old, modern will be vintage. The article was talking about Pokemon as an investment. I really don't give a shit about that. What I do care about is the fact that I've been talking about going after these cards that I love for the sole purpose that they are goated. They're beautiful. They're pure. It's when the art was at its beginnings. It's historic. It's like an antiquity. I don't know how many times I gotta say it to actually be heard on it. And yet, people are going to talk about this article. Every single Pokemon YouTuber is going to talk about this article. It is going to be copy-paste content. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to say you should be investing in Pokemon. What I am here to say is you should be buying the cards that are ceasing to exist. We've talked about this in the last couple of videos. Bro, so many people are going to say, who could have seen this coming? I saw it coming. I've been talking about it. I was buying up all the gold stars when people were telling me that was a crazy move. People are still telling me that it's a crazy move for me to buy vintage cards. But what's funny about that article is that it has this first edition Shining Tyranitar, and this one's the 9. I imagine the PSA 10 that's on eBay right now is going to skyrocket because people are going to see that article and they're immediately going to see that card and go, that's the one. That was the most iconic card on the article. I will say the Shining Tyranitar is phenomenal. It's great. So many good vintage cards out there. And I already feel like I'm scrambling to pick up a lot of the last big cards I want to pick up. But for all the people that are gonna see this and say, damn, I'm gonna go after those cards. Don't go after these cards for the money, right? Just stick to sealed investing. Just buy modern cards, flip those, stick to that, right? If you wanna make money, just you guys stick to that. Or do whatnot. If you wanna make money, do whatnot. Screw people over doing whatnot. That's a great way. That's a super not ethical way to make money in this hobby. And we are definitely going to talk about that in a little bit here. Because that shit is pissing me off. It's really starting to piss me off. Like, I really don't get very heated in videos. I'm trying to be passionate and pull this straight from the heart. But this Wall Street article, I mean, the hobby is about to explode, guys. And I'm telling you, these cards are about to be non-existent. So it doesn't matter if you have money. It doesn't matter if you've been in the hobby for a long time. It doesn't matter if you have a mound of sealed product. That is not going to get you these cards. These cards are now, people are going to see that article and they're going to say, "Yup, taking my listings down. My first edition Shinings aren't for sale," and I'm worried about it. Maybe I'm overreacting. It's just the card on the front of the article. The article talks about Pokemon as a whole and the strategy of investing in Pokemon. Guys, I just think the cards are badass. I wanted them in my collection. That's been my MO. You know, Skyridge Charizard was 10K. I just wanted it. I didn't give a shit that it was 10K. I just wanted it. And 10K was insane at the time. Was it 50K right now for this card? Oh man, people going after vintage. No, this isn't shade. This is just the reality. Going after modern booster boxes to flip. Vintage booster boxes are probably a good spot to go, but it's still not the actual card. Why can't people wrap their head around just buying the actual chase card from an older set? Have you not seen, like, the signs have been everywhere. The population report it's been out. You know, eBay now has, you click on the little PSA detail and it tells you all about the population, which I thought when that happened, I was like, when people see how actually rare these cards are, and they're not just low pop equals rare, it's also extremely high demand. Like, I didn't pick just low pop cards, right? This isn't some reverse holo from, you know, Fire Red Leaf Green or Expedition, which those are great, don't get me wrong. You know, but it's not just that, and that's what makes it low pop, because nobody was grading it. People were grading these trying to get the best grades, and there's so few of them out there. That's what it takes, right? And I just, you know, I don't know. I think I've been a genius with it, and I've been humble with it for so long. And seeing that Wall Street Journal article, just all the people sending it to me, it's like, yes, I know. Pokemon is cooked. Now Pokemon is going to be even more cooked. And I'm actually kind of pissed off about it. Like, it's validating. It's like, I told you so. I told you so. It's validating, right? You know, I'm always going to be that guy that paid arm and a leg to get his vintage cards. I'm not the guy that grew up with, you know, collecting throughout the entire hobby, through all of its phases. I'm not the guy who's been an OG from the start. I'm the guy that came into it, works his ass off, works so hard to be able to afford these cards. And then even against everyone's judgment goes, you know what? I'm still buying them. I'm not the guy trying to find the cheat code in this hobby. I'm not the guy trying to get one up over on you. I'm the guy literally saying, I'm going to shoot myself in the foot, and I'm going to tell you guys what it really is. I'm going to tell you guys that these are the cards that are going to pop off. This is it. This is it. It's not even about popping off. It's not about the market. It's not about the money. It's always going to be about the money in some respect, but it's not about that. This collection, it's not getting sold, guys. These cards are never going to be back in circulation. They're with me now, right? That's been my mentality for a long time now, right? That's the mentality I'm surprised a lot more people don't have. Ever since the market kind of went booming, people are buying these vintage low pop cards. They shifted from modern dropped, then they shifted to vintage. Now people are shifting back to modern. It just goes back and forth, back and forth. But the vintage cards should never be resold, flipped. It's not even worth it. They're so rare. They're so difficult to get, to acquire. It's not even worth it. If you're doing consignments, that's one thing. But to buy these and flip them, you know, it's something that I kind of wanted to do. I wanted my whole MO to be selling vintage cards. That's out the window. With this new article, totally out the window. I am for sure going to continue buying vintage. I'm going to be scooping up 9s now. Because the 10s are going to disappear overnight. I'm telling you right now, watch. The 10s, all the vintage 10s are gone. People are going to be like, oh, well, new cert 9s are just as good as 10s. Yes, in some respects, yes, but a 10 is a 10. This is the reality. And you're going to have weak 10s. You're going to have cards that maybe shouldn't be PSA 10, but they are. They're PSA 10. And those cards, the vintage low pop PSA 10s, they're going to be gone. So to me and all my homies that have been buying vintage cards, grails, call them whatever you want, old amazing artwork Pokemon cards, right? In a nutshell. To all my homies buying those cards, I'm happy for you guys. I'm happy that we got these cards when we could. Because time flies. The years have gone by, time flies, and these cards are now no longer going to be available. They're gonna dry the fuck up, guys. And it sucks. It's sad. And I want to talk about that too. I have grand plans of all the other cards that I still want in my collection. I've talked about the gym sets. I've talked about the Neo sets. I love Neo Genesis. I love Neo Destiny. Sky Ridge Aquapolis. Amazing. Expedition. All the e-reader cards. Dude, they're amazing. Fire Red Leaf Green. So good. All of the Gold Star sets. So good. Guys, it is what it is. I hope you guys scooped these cards up when I was talking about them. And for those of you that did, hats off to you guys. I've been on a mission to go after all of my favorite cards, and I will stay on that mission. And if the prices continue to balloon, unfortunately, the market's going to market. It's going to do what it's going to do. And I'm just going to have to figure out how to continue going after these cards. But it is sad that the market probably even overnight. I mean, maybe I'm exaggerating here. Maybe I'm overthinking it. I don't think I am. I think that this is the reality. And I thank God every day. I thank God that Rudy and these Pokemon investing channels that are solely basically about running business. I pray to God every day that they don't get into the same cards that I'm going after. Because we have enough people collecting cards I'm going after, but that space doesn't need to be a crowded investment space. But I truly think, I thank God that Rudy didn't get into the cards, that he was I'm not a collector of Pokemon. I'm a businessman with Pokemon stuff. I thank God that he stuck with sealed shit, because I don't give up about sealed booster boxes. I really don't. It's cool. Have one, have it in your collection. I've got, pretty much one of every set. Very cool, very nice. But I stopped sealed investing pretty much, I think Twilight Masquerade is where I stopped buying booster boxes, because it just got to a point where it just didn't make sense to me anymore. And I deeply regret even buying heavy into Scarlet Violet sets. It is one of my biggest regrets in this hobby. I don't really regret Sword and Shield, because it was still, the price points were still so much cheaper. But I deeply regret Scarlet and Violet sealed investing. I do. And it set me back. I could have had a lot of other Grail cards in my collection. And now, I'm having to face that fact. And I'm doing better. I've really switched focuses and gotten back into what I love most, which is the cards themselves. But guys, this is, again, your warning, your signal from me. Everybody's least favorite investing channel that actually talks about the cards that I love most. I'm telling you guys right now, it's not too late. It is not too late. The 10s, too late on that. Those are going to be gone. Pop control, I believe, is a real thing. Some cards being tougher to grade, specific cards being tough to grade, right? They're not going to let a lot of Gengars. They're not going to let a lot of those slip, into a PSA 10. They're just not. they're going to be super tough on it. Grading standards have gotten tougher, but I still believe in pop control. 10s just, they're gone. They're going to be gone. I really think overnight, a lot of them are going to be gone. If people are smart, if people really want these cards, like actually like the cards beyond an investment, you'll buy these cards now and you won't even bat an eye at the price. I'm serious. I'm serious. This isn't a bubble Mew for $2,000. You know, this is a first edition whatever in PSA 10 for $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000. That is a better deal. That is a better card. That card is going to hold more weight throughout the rest of time. This isn't a shot at all of my fellow collectors that are into modern. And people are probably not even going to watch this far. They're going to be like, this guy just hates modern. I don't hate modern. I have 2 briefcases full of modern slabs. And one day those might become vintage, and I'll talk about those. But right now is not their time. Right now is not their time. Right now is for finding them raw and grading them. The vintage stuff you cannot as easily find raw and grade. You know, vintage box breaks aren't a thing for people to enjoy the hobby anymore. It's all about rip and ship and whatnot bullshit. And we're going to talk about that. I'm still not done with my tirade. Guys, it's not too late. If you're like, Ryan, the cards you collect are too expensive. People can't do that. It's not, guys, it's not too late. Don't make excuses. It's not too late. If you want the cards, you can probably still buy them raw. You can buy them in PSA 5, PSA 6. That's like super budget friendly for a lot of these cards. And some of them are just never going to be budget friendly, right? Gold stars, for example, never going to be budget friendly, right? And like literally, one of my MOs has just been going after Charizard cards, right? Like, how easy is that? Just like Charizard's badass. It's literally, it's a dragon, y'all. It's a freaking dragon. It's too easy, y'all. It's too easy. It's just, I don't know. I have an obsession with dragons. I think they're sick. Speaking of dragons, my bearded dragon, we got him some new super worms today. Dude, those things are fat. I watched him just devour them shits. That was fun. Guys, time has passed. The time has passed. And I just think a lot of the 10s are just not going to be attainable. But the 9s are on the table now. So now you have to ask yourself, do you actually like these cards? What about the hobby do you like most? If you like modern most, then don't worry about it. Just keep buying in modern, keep doing the sealed product deal, and you'll still fare very well. And if that makes you happy, then good. That's awesome, right? But this video is really honestly geared more towards people that want to dabble in vintage. I really think I need to hold my ground on this topic. It's not a debate of modern versus vintage. It never was a debate. It's not of what's better or worse. It is the facts and the numbers and the history. The history is with vintage. The numbers are with vintage. And the facts are that it's harder to find. It's harder to source. It's harder to grade. Everything is more difficult when going after vintage, which makes it more fulfilling. It's more of a challenge. I think life is about challenges. Don't you want to be challenged? If life was on easy mode, it would be boring as fuck. Pokemon on easy mode is kind of boring as fuck. You want to go after something that feels more like an achievement. And so again, shout out to all my friends, all the homies that stuck it out and continue to go after vintage cards. Now, again, this is about Pokemon as a whole. The Wall Street Journal article is about Pokemon as a whole. I'm just going off on a rant because I saw that first Ed Shining Tyranitar on the front, and I just thought, no way that it's being talked about as an investment. They've got the first Ed Shining Tyranitar on there. That's so awesome. Also, I'm jealous to all my friends that had that first Ed Tyranitar in a 10. It was also about like street cred, respect. Like, I respect the hell out of people that go after vintage cards. I really do. And yeah, there's a price tag on it. Sure, there's a price tag. People will say, you just like it because it's expensive. You just like it because there's a lot of money in it. Isn't everybody talking about stuff that they can make money on in this hobby? And yet here I am, keeping all of my cards, not selling them. I've kept all of them. It's not even about the money. It's about the cards just being superior, really. Okay. Now, there are some options here, guys. We have options. PSA 9s are a good option. PSA 9 is an option. I'm sorry. So many people are messaging me, DMing me, texting me. It's like I can't even make a video without stuff popping up on my phone. And it's probably because of this article. The PSA 9s are on the table, guys. That's an option. That's a very viable option. And honestly, there's a lot of people that believe, and this is debatable, you know, that PSA 9 modern cards are stronger than vintage old cert 10s. Now, let's not get into the old cert, new cert argument. Let's not get into the fact that most people will pay a fat premium for a newer cert copy of a card. That's its own thing. That's for another day, another time. But there's that. And then you look at the PSA 8s. I honestly feel like, and you know, there's some people that just don't care about grading. But my problem with that is that you have no guarantee on the condition of the card you're getting when you're buying it raw, unless you can see it as show. You know, I was watching Rattle Pokemon's video yesterday. He was talking about, you know, grading. There's a steep learning curve. Yes, but not when it comes to buying graded cards. It's so much easier. It feels like so much less risk. And there's still risk there, because sometimes you get a card that shouldn't have been graded as well as it was. And Rattle talks about that. The trimmed first edition Charizard. Remember that whole deal? That Charizard should have never even made it into PSA because it had been altered. It had literally been trimmed. It had been cut. It could have been a PSA 5 or a PSA 7, and it was altered, probably polished, and trimmed at the bottom. There's still risk, but I really feel like with vintage, it's better to just buy the vintage cards. And Rattle also got a lot of his collection and a lot of his vintage bangers. He was getting them when the hobby was at a different place, and I think it was easier to source at that time. Anyways, that's just a little example because I was watching this video yesterday. Also, speaking of modern, I do like modern. Probably gonna have to let this guy go to help me pay for my vintage cards, but I did pick up this really, really cool 2025 World Championships winner Pikachu card. Dude, this thing is absolutely sick. Got that shiny little winner stamp on there. I love older stamped cards, and this is really, really cool. What a historical card. 2025 Championship Pikachu winner card. This is really sick. What a little piece of history right here. Unfortunately, I did pick this up for about $100. I shop a lot at the same shops, and sometimes they have stuff, sometimes they don't. They were completely cleaned out, but they had this one card there, and I was like, all right, we'll take it because I love Pikachu. This card's sick. I'm on the fence about even wanting to sell it. I do have it listed because I do have to keep the wheels turning so that I can afford to continue buying the vintage cards I like. But I think that this Pikachu is going to do some big numbers. And I think right now that this card is actually extremely undervalued. And I think I would end up selling it for what I have it listed at and literally end up regretting it shortly after. But a fast nickel is better than a slow dime, right? And also, this is a big thing I've been an advocate for buying vintage cards, is when you're selling and grading modern, that helps you afford vintage cards. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, we're not going to go into all of my vintage slabs that I've acquired over the years for way cheaper prices, but I've done very well for myself in theory, right? I haven't sold any of these cards, so it's like, it doesn't really matter that they've gone up in value. Everybody keeps asking, what's my collection worth? And I keep ballparking like $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. I don't know, somewhere in that area. I keep ballparking, and that doesn't include any of my theme decks. That doesn't include like a vast majority of slabs. That doesn't include even modern. That doesn't include sealed. That is literally just my vintage slabs, somewhere in that ballpark. Anyways, it's very validating, but again, this whole thing is going to be unfortunate because it's going to be more difficult. I feel like it's like, forget about negotiating for vintage cards. People are about to be very firm, or they're going to either be extremely firm on their prices, or they're going to ask for way over market, which you know what? I don't blame them. I don't blame them. I always thought a lot of the vintage cards were way undervalued. But I've really tried to move as far away as I could from saying, you should buy this, you know, it's going to double in value, you're going to make money on it, because I don't care if you're going to make money on it. This is for the people that want something special in this hobby, something historical. So I've tried to move away from the whole investing narrative. But here we are with this Wall Street Journal article talking about investing. And it's like, here we go again with the copy and paste content of Pokemon investing will never be the same. And like, I get that. It's not wrong. That's 100% factual. But it's like, bruh, we get it. We know. I urge creators to do something different. And my hat's off to a lot of the creators that continue to innovate and make great quality content. And I don't know if I'm doing a good job with that or falling short in my own ways of that, or if I sound redundant talking about vintage. I don't want to be redundant, but I am extremely passionate about vintage. Maybe it's the same thing with sealed investing. People are just super passionate about it. How you could be so passionate about something that is just about making money. Money doesn't fix everything. It doesn't really bring happiness fully. Staring at a really valuable card, a really rare card, forget valuable. Staring at a very unique piece of art, right? My parents are artists, and my mom makes art for a living. And I kind of think back to the original artists like Sugimori and Mitsuhiro Arita and Fukuda with the gold stars, right? I think that those guys are like the Van Goghs of Pokemon, you know? Speaking of, I have both of my Van Gogh Pikachus still, right? Van Gogh Pikachu is literally a historical collaboration, like piece of artwork in Pokemon. I love the Van Gogh Pikachu. That is one modern card that I can hype up Van Gogh Pikachu all day, endlessly. I love Van Gogh Pikachu. I don't think there's a certain price point you should worry about with Van Gogh Pikachu. I just think that it's really cool. I think the whole story of it is tragic, that people flooded it and there were scalpers and theft, and it was a shitty situation. But anyways, guys, it's not too late. We might be getting there, but it's not too late. There's still time to buy vintage cards. Please, stick it out with me and try going after these cards regardless what grade. Don't think about it as like, I have to have PSA 10. I have to have PSA 9. Because you know what? There are 7s and 8s that look just as good as old 10s. And there are modern 9s that look just as good as 10s. And there are modern 7s that look just as good as old cert 9s, right? It's subjective. Go after these cards with whatever you can fit in your budget and pick the ones you like the most, because really the clock is ticking and a lot of people have gotten in this hobby now for the wrong reasons. But if you're in it for the art, if you're in it for the history, if you're in it because you're really passionate about vintage stuff specifically, dude, the grade doesn't matter. Throw that out of your head. I have cards that I still have in my collection. I have a Gold Star Alakazam and a 9, but I also have a 7 that I graded myself, and I've kept it, right? I have a ton we've talked on the channel about all these cards that I love that I've graded myself. And for this video, we are going to pick a super special card to talk about at the end of the video. And it is going to be an absolute flex, but probably it's going to be one of the ones I've already showed here. but we're going to talk about it and why it's so special up close. Okay, let's double back here. I want to talk about something else that I'm really passionate about. If you want to invest in Pokemon, if you want to buy cards, stop fucking doing Whatnot. Stop doing Whatnot. Stop buying from Whatnot. Stop supporting people that sell on Whatnot. Stop supporting rip-and ships, guys. They're not doing you a favor. They're not. The packs are overpriced, right? You're gambling on a gamble, right? You can buy the chase cards on eBay. They're very easy to find. They're not hard to find, right? I don't understand how people in this hobby operate. Just deepening the gambling. Like, the only exception is vintage. Vintage box breaks, I get it. They're rare. There might be a premium. And even that, I really don't fully support. Because guys, if we ever do a box break on this channel, you have my word that I will never become a rip and shipper, a box break, whatnotter. I got approved for it. They wanted me at Whatnot. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. It would be the easiest way to rip people off and make money. It is literally borderline scamming. But people are dumb enough to fall for it. And I'm sorry. If you take this personally, that's on you. I'm trying to help you. If you have that problem where you are like addicted to going on Whatnot, I understand it might appeal to the younger generations, but it is such a fucking absolute waste of money. It's egregious how many people have been screwed over. Is that the right word? Egregious? I think it's the right word. Dude, Whatnot is a cesspool, guys. It is an absolute cesspool. And I see the guys at shows that do Whatnot. They got all the gold on, kind of like me. Is that hypocritical? I like jewelry. I've got some gold chains and things. I tuck all that shit. I try and, I guess, maintain a little bit of humility here so people won't fucking judge me right off the rip just because I have a slight sense of style. But, I see these guys at the shows. They're all dripped out. They're fucking ripping people off on Whatnot for a living. They're ripping them off for a living. Anyways, I just think, the hobby, when is the hobby going to learn to fucking boycott that shit? When are we going to collectively come together and spread the message that is not it? Whatnot is not it. Rip and ships are not it. I'm sorry, I'm going to get shit for saying this because there's a lot of people that depend on it fully for their income. If they didn't have that, they would not be able to make money investing in Pokemon. Just solely investing in booster boxes and selling that in the long term, that for a lot of people, that can't work. The amount of capital you have to make that work, it's really not all that sustainable. It's so much easier to find cards, grade them, flip them, find cards that you like, that you buy because you like them and for the art, and maybe they go up in price. Boom, and you win that way. That is fighting the good fight. I don't sell a shitload of cards off eBay, but every single day I have sales on eBay. And sometimes I sell stuff and it's like, okay, I didn't make that much money on that, but I sleep good at night. I don't know how these fucking guys, I don't know how they sleep at night. The lack of ethics and you want to talk about ethics and morality, selling stuff over market on eBay, you can flame me for that because I've done it plenty. But is it the same thing? Is it as predatory? I don't think it is. And I've built a huge following. I have 100% positive feedback. And with all of the bullshit we've seen on Whatnot, with all the people repacking, it's so obvious. And it's so frustrating to see it. And it fucking breaks my heart that we're really trying to build this community and make it better. Pokemon was cool again in 2019. And now I just feel like it's fucking lame again in its own way, right? It's just it's all about the money. And it's so redundant and it's so copy and paste. And it's no one can even think for themselves making content. They just have to see someone else doing shit and they emulate it. And there's a lot of small channels that I can see are deviating from that. They're not doing that. They're saying, guys, these cards are awesome. Let's talk about them. There's a way about going about this, guys. There's a way to talk about it, right? And maybe some people are just like, dude, frankly, nobody cares about how to talk about it. It's just like, this modern card is going to go up in value and it's going to explode, and you better get it before it explodes. But it's like, I think everybody just thinks they're a genius because everything is going up. Even me. Maybe it gets to my head a little bit. I'm willing to admit that. Maybe it gets to my head a little bit. I've made so many horrible mistakes collecting in this hobby, but I know that buying vintage cards is not one of them. Anyways, buy the cards you like. Stop further gambling on whatnot. It's fucking crazy. It's wild. And guys, let me know what you think about Wall Street Journal. We had a dope stream last night. Pokey even though people are like, it's Pokey-NE. Pokey said that if I really wanted to get to 10K subscribers, he could make that happen, but I would have to go bald. All jokes aside, guys, I do want this channel to grow, but I'm not really gonna sell my soul and go bald, okay? I'm not gonna do that. I think we all know that it was jokes, but that was a fun stream last night. I really appreciate you guys for coming out. And I have officially decided that we will be doing 2 streams a week, maybe 3, maybe 4 at some point. The streams are starting to feel super organic and a great way for me to make content and check in with people and also have kind of a community outside of just the videos where I feel like people are right here with me watching the videos, but you're not really, right? It's still disconnected. There's definitely more of a social connection when we do the streams, and I think that that's a great way to connect. And I think when content creators do live streams, I think that that's actually a really genuine way to make content. And there's plenty of big creators that, you know, they do investment videos, they talk about certain cards going up in value, they talk about the hobby in general, but they also do live streams. And the live streams, I think, is a good thing for every channel to do. If you have a YouTube channel and you're not doing live streams, I think you're missing out on a really big opportunity to really connect with your audience and just have a fucking blast and shoot the shit. Anyways, guys, we're gonna go downstairs. It's a really nice day outside, and we're gonna look at one of my favorite vintage cards in a minute here. What up, guys? Here we have an extremely special card. For anybody that's watched the channel, they know that this is one of my favorite cards, if not my favorite card of all time. I absolutely love this card so much. You guys can see it's a really, really clean copy with just like that one white dot corner. And we have a gold star Rayquaza. Literally Fukuda's masterpiece. This is by far my favorite gold star, probably one of my favorite cards in the entire hobby. I think it's just an absolute masterpiece. And just look at it. I mean, this is such a freaking beautiful artwork. I mean, come on. And this particular copy actually has a hollow orb. If we can get the sun on just right. The sun's going down. I would have much preferred to make this earlier in the day, but we had doctor's appointments for the kids and just didn't have time to get to it. And I like to be there in all the moments where, you know, my kids are getting checkups just to hear that everything is going well. But let's see if I can get this in just the right light. It's really, really important to me that you guys see that hollow orb right there. See, it's still not showing quite right, but this card is, dude, it's absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. And I had obsessed about it for a while. Like, I would nonstop talk about it. There's like 200 something, 220 in a PSA 9. There's way less in a PSA 10. One of my all-time grails would probably be to get this card in a PSA 10. I want to see if we get the sun on it just right. I want to see if we could potentially, hold on. If I can get the sun on this just right. There it is. So you guys can see that hollow orb right there. It just looks like he's about to shoot out an attack. It just looks sick. And my Beckett copy, I'm not going to try and get, let's see, maybe we can go over here, over to the deck, get him right in the sun right here. There we go. There we go. Sorry, guys, I just really wanted you to see that hollow orb. Now, my Beckett copy was even more special because it had a hollow orb directly in its mouth. Like, honestly, one of the coolest things ever. Someone should crack that out of that BGS slab and freaking resend it to PSA. I didn't have the balls to do it, but I wish I did. I really did not want to get rid of that copy. But this copy is a very similar hollow orb placement. It looks sick. And yeah, I love this card. It's one of my favorite cards of all time. Let's go ahead and go back to our little spot over here. This is a nice patch of sun. This card, usually when we sit outside, it's way brighter. So kind of unfortunate that we don't have that same amount of sunlight right now. In fact, guys, I'm determined. Hold on, I'm gonna go to a spot with a little more light. All right, you guys are gonna be like, oh my God, he's flexing so fucking hard right now. But guys, the sunlight's over here. It's in my garage area, so it's over where the cars are. There's no better lighting anywhere else. Anyways, look at this hollow. Oh my gosh, that is absolutely beautiful, absolutely stunning. The Cosmos hollow just pops off. There's nothing else really quite like it. Yeah, this is like an absolute grail for me. Like, it will never get old. Looking at this card has never gotten old. I will never take it for granted. It was so fucking hard to source this card, right? There are guys that like source these regularly, but at the time I didn't even have, like, I really could not afford this card, and I can't ever afford any of the cards I'm buying. I always barely make it work. You know, I put some of it on my card, I pay off my card throughout my shifts, and I just kind of pay it as I go. And then eventually, you know, it makes sense. And I've continued to do that and buy cards that I really can't afford just because I really want the card in my collection. And, you know, you got to do what you got to do to make it work. But yeah, here it is. Got a beautiful, big, fat hollow orb underneath his tail. It's such a sick copy. It's such a sick copy. And I feel very lucky to own it. The centering is pretty good. There's usually a lot of silvering across the top, and there's none of that on this copy. It's a very clean copy. There's two variants. There's the international variant, which I used to have. My BGS copy was the international variant. And then there's the US variant, which that's what this one is. It's a little more faded, and we don't want it in the sunlight too much because it's going to get even more faded. It has this acrylic case by Phantom Display. It's supposedly supposed to protect it from UV rays, but guys, I'm sorry. Your patented technology for a plastic acrylic case, I don't think it's stronger than the frickin' sun. But anyways, yeah, this is, oh man, such a crazy card. Such an absolute crazy card. And it's pretty much my favorite. It looks like a dragon. You guys know I have my obsession with dragons, and Rayquaza is more badass than Charizard, honestly, in my opinion. You know, I grew up, I didn't play the original Pokemon games, but I played Fire Red, Leaf Green, and, you know, Ruby, Emerald, Sapphire. And of course, that's where you can get the Rayquaza. He's like one of the last, he's the last legendary that you go after, and he's just sick. And yeah, I just can't believe I own this card. And I'm really happy and excited to share it with you guys. And I've been holding off on showing any of the big cards. We've been talking about, you know, lower grade cards that I have, just because my whole point is, like, you don't have to have, hold on, open my gate. You don't have to have something crazy. You just get it in whatever grade you can get it in, and that's okay too. Like, doesn't have to be a perfect card. But yeah, guys, really excited we got to look at this card today. Just look at this. Look how magnificent this card is. Oh my gosh. It's beautiful. And then, of course, the gold stars have that treatment where the hollow is going down the second half of the card. It just looks so good. And I think there's even a swirl in the text box, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, the only thing that would make it better is if it had a swirl. That would have been absolutely sick. And I usually don't, when I'm videoing the cards, I don't put them in these display cases, but I would not want to drop this card and have anything happen to it. Hence why there's protection for the protection for the protection. But yeah, thanks you guys for watching, and let me know what you think about that Wall Street Journal article. Will it change everything for Pokemon, or is this just another article, but Pokemon will end up going back to how things used to be? Probably not. And then let me know what you think about Whatnot and that whole tirade I went on. You know, I usually don't get angry about it, but I feel like lately more and more I'm seeing so many people get ripped off on Whatnot. And there's gonna be good Whatnot sellers and bad Whatnot sellers, but I feel like the vast majority of it is just kind of it's light scamming. Anyways, y'all have a fantastic day. Let me know what you think of the Gold Star Rayquaza, and is it worth, you know, $20,000 to $30,000 today in a 9? Abso-fucking-lutely. I would buy this card again if I found a clean copy. If I found a clean copy, honestly, it went up for auction, I would 100% get another one of these. This is a card I will always, if I could find duplicate copies of, I would always go after this card. It's perfect to me. All right. Peace out, guys.